Robert Downey Jr., after a 5-year break, is returning to Marvel, but before he did that, he actually turned down Ryan Reynolds. When Ryan Reynolds approached Robert Downey Jr. with the script, he said he was completely shocked he got an instant no.
Robert Downey Jr. is making his long-awaited return to Marvel after a 5-year break. But before stepping back into the superhero spotlight, he made a shocking move. He turned down Deadpool 3. Now, this isn't just any rejection. We're talking about Iron Man himself refusing to work with Ryan Reynolds, a decision that has people asking, what's really going on behind the scenes? Hollywood is no stranger to power plays, but when an A-lister like RDJ distances himself from one of the most bankable stars in the industry, it's a sign that something bigger is brewing. With recent headlines exposing Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's behind-the-scenes control tactics, their once untouchable reputation might be crumbling. So, did RDJ see something the rest of us are just now starting to realize? And is this the beginning of a Hollywood fallout that could change everything? Let's get into it. When Ryan Reynolds was mapping out his dream cast for Deadpool and Wolverine, he had one major name at the top of his list. Robert Downey Jr. Bringing RDJ into the film would have been a massive moment for fans, especially since his return could have tied together the MCU and the Fox X-Men universe in a way never seen before. Imagine it. Tony Stark, back on screen, sharing a scene with Deadpool and Wolverine. That's the kind of cameo that would have broken the internet. So naturally, Ryan pulled out all the stops to make it happen. According to insiders, Reynolds personally reached out to RDJ, hoping to convince him to join the project. He didn't just send a casual offer, he went all in. Screenwriters Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick even revealed that they had written an entire scene specifically for RDJ, featuring him alongside Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan. The plan was to create a moment that would send Marvel fans into a frenzy. Reynolds, always the hustler, reportedly pitched the idea directly to RDJ, reading him parts of the script, explaining how it would fit into the timeline, and emphasizing how legendary this moment could be. And with Hugh Jackman already on board as Wolverine, the potential for an MCU meets Fox crossover was bigger than ever. This wasn't just about Deadpool cracking jokes, this was about creating a monumental cinematic event. But here's where things took a surprising turn. RDJ immediately said no. No hesitation, no drawn-out negotiations, just a flat-out rejection. According to reports, Downey was already in talks for a different Marvel return, one that had nothing to do with Iron Man. At the time, he was rumored to be in early discussions to play Dr. Doom, a role that could completely reshape the future of the MCU. Because of that, he had to keep his return under wraps and couldn't commit to another Marvel-related appearance. Now, on paper, that explanation makes sense. But the internet isn't entirely convinced. Fans quickly started speculating that RDJ's refusal wasn't just about Dr. Doom, it was about Ryan Reynolds himself. See, Robert Downey Jr. is no stranger to Hollywood politics. He's been in the industry long enough to know which projects are worth his time, and more importantly, which people he should associate himself with. And with the recent storm of allegations surrounding Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, allegations that paint them as two of the most power-hungry and manipulative figures in Hollywood, it's starting to seem like RDJ's rejection wasn't just about a role. Was he already aware of the behind-the-scenes drama? Did he see something in Ryan that made him want to keep his distance? Or was he simply making a calculated career move to avoid being tangled up in a growing Hollywood controversy? One thing is clear. RDJ is far from the only celebrity backing away from Ryan and Blake. And the deeper we dig into the Hollywood fallout, the more disturbing this situation becomes. But before we continue with these deep dives, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next shocking update. Robert Downey Jr. turning down Deadpool and Wolverine might have seemed like just another scheduling conflict on the surface, but in Hollywood, nothing is ever that simple. And as it turns out, RDJ might have had good reason to steer clear of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, because in the last few months, their once untouchable reputation has been crumbling fast. For years, Ryan and Blake were Hollywood's golden couple. They were the picture-perfect duo, charismatic, charming, effortlessly funny, and seemingly adored by everyone. Ryan's witty social media presence made him one of the most likable celebrities in the industry, while Blake's fashion icon status and girl-next-door appeal solidified them as a power couple. But behind the scenes, the cracks were forming, and then came Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. It all started when filmmaker and actor Justin Baldoni, best known for Jane the Virgin and his work promoting inclusivity in Hollywood, began speaking out about toxic power dynamics in the industry. But no one expected that, when the dust settled, he would go head-to-head with none other than Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. According to sources, the entire situation exploded on the set of Baldoni's latest film. Candace Owens, who has been digging deep into the scandal, claims that Ryan Reynolds was the one who initiated the chaos, not Blake. While much of the internet was quick to blame Blake Lively for the tension, Owens insists that Ryan was the true mastermind behind it all. It all reportedly began when Ryan Reynolds started showing up unannounced on set, watching dailies, raw, unedited footage from filming, and inserting himself into creative decisions that had nothing to do with him. Soon, tensions escalated between him, Baldoni, and even Blake, with accusations of manipulation and behind-the-scenes interference running rampant. According to reports, Ryan started demanding changes to the script, pushing for specific edits, and allegedly using his influence to control the direction of the film. And then, things got worse. Behind closed doors, Ryan and Blake reportedly pressured WME, the biggest talent agency in Hollywood, representing names like Taylor Swift and Dwayne Johnson, to cut ties with Baldoni entirely. Ryan allegedly issued an ultimatum. It's either us or him. And just like that, Justin Baldoni was blacklisted. But Baldoni wasn't the only one who had issues with Ryan. In fact, as more Hollywood insiders started speaking out, a pattern emerged, one that painted Ryan Reynolds as a calculating industry player who wasn't as lovable as his public persona suggested. Martha Stewart, yes, the Martha Stewart, recently made headlines when she casually mentioned that Ryan Reynolds isn't actually funny in real life. At first, it seemed like a harmless remark, but the internet quickly picked up on the undertone of her statement. Was she subtly trying to expose something bigger? When asked which celebrities would be the most fun to hang out with, Stewart's response was unexpectedly blunt. Ryan Reynolds. He's not that funny in real life. He acts fun, but he isn't funny. Maybe he can get to be funny again, but I don't know. That might not sound like much at first, but given everything else coming out about Ryan, it's hard to ignore the real message behind her words. Many now believe she was implying that Ryan's entire persona, his charm, his humor, his nice guy reputation, is all an act. And if that wasn't enough, his former co-stars have started speaking out too. The cracks in Ryan Reynolds' carefully crafted image started appearing years ago, but only now is the full picture coming into focus. Tim Miller, the original director of Deadpool, left the franchise after clashing with Reynolds over creative control. At the time, Miller kept it professional, saying he simply didn't want to negotiate every creative decision. But in hindsight, his words now seem like a warning. It became clear that Ryan wanted to be in control of the franchise. You can work that way as a director, but I can't. I don't mind having a debate, but if I can't win, I don't want to play. That's a polite way of saying Ryan Reynolds wanted total control and didn't care who got in his way. And then there's Morena Baccarin, the actress who played Vanessa in the Deadpool franchise. Fans were shocked when her role was significantly reduced after the first movie, and while she remained professional in interviews, inside sources claim that Ryan deliberately pushed her out. She was reportedly banned from attending major Deadpool press events, kept at a distance from promotional material, and ultimately sidelined in the franchise. Sound familiar? That's because it's exactly what happened to Justin Baldoni. Breaking news! It's all coming out in the wash. What Blake Lively did to Justin Baldoni? Guess what? She learned it from Ryan. Ryan Reynolds did the same thing to Morena Baccarin. And if that wasn't enough, there's also TJ Miller, who played Weasel in the first two Deadpool movies. He revealed that Reynolds treated him horribly on set, acting as if he were his real-life character, mocking him publicly. He was horrifically mean to me as if I were Weasel. He said, "You know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you do just enough exposition so that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie." Miller was so put off by the experience that he vowed to never work with Ryan Reynolds again, no matter how much money they offered him. For years, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have carefully curated their image, presenting themselves as the fun-loving, easygoing Hollywood power couple. But as more and more voices speak out, that image is starting to crack. With RDJ turning them down, former co-stars distancing themselves, and industry insiders confirming their behind-the-scenes manipulation, it's starting to look like Ryan and Blake's days at the top might be numbered. And if they think they can just brush this off and move on, well, Hollywood and the internet has a long memory, The real question is, can they come back from this? Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were seen as Hollywood royalty, the perfect couple with the perfect careers and the perfect image. Ryan was the effortlessly funny, self-deprecating leading man, while Blake was the glamorous, down-to-earth fashion icon. They played the game well, never getting caught up in scandals, carefully controlling their public narrative, and cultivating friendships with Hollywood's biggest power players. But now, the cracks in their carefully crafted image are impossible to ignore. Robert Downey Jr. turned down working with Ryan. Was it just scheduling? Or did he sense something deeper? Justin Baldoni's lawsuit revealed how Ryan allegedly manipulates Hollywood behind the scenes. Morena Baccarin, TJ Miller, and Tim Miller all distanced themselves from Ryan, claiming he's controlling. Martha Stewart casually threw shade, hinting that Ryan isn't as funny or charming as he pretends to be. Anna Kendrick can't even fake enthusiasm about working with Blake again, and sources say she tried to avoid it altogether. For a couple who built their entire brand around being likable, this kind of backlash isn't just damaging, it's career-threatening. In Hollywood, once an actor loses their golden reputation, it's almost impossible to get it back. The industry thrives on relationships, and if the biggest players stop wanting to work with you, it doesn't matter how famous you are. Just ask Johnny Depp, Shia LaBeouf, or Armie Hammer. One bad headline can change everything. And right now, Ryan and Blake are stacking up bad headlines fast. Their PR team is likely working overtime to shut down the rumors, but it might already be too late. Because when someone as high profile as Robert Downey Jr. quietly distances himself from you, it sends a clear message to the industry. Stay away. And it's not just about their careers, it's about their legacy. One of the biggest reasons Ryan and Blake became so successful wasn't just their talent, it was their image. Fans loved their flirty social media banter, their normal home life with their kids, and the way they seemed to be in on the joke when it came to Hollywood's superficiality. But as the public perception shifts, so does their power. If Ryan is seen as a manipulator who sabotages careers, will actors and directors want to work with him? If Blake is seen as a controlling, calculating co-star, will she keep landing major roles? If their Hollywood friends start backing away, how long until brands and studios follow? Because here's the thing, reputations don't crumble overnight. It starts with subtle shifts. Less enthusiasm for their projects, fewer A-list co-stars wanting to sign on, a decline in box office numbers, and before you know it, they're no longer the Hollywood darlings they once were. The big question now is, can they come back from this? For Ryan, if Deadpool and Wolverine is a massive hit, it might buy him some time. But if more former co-stars come forward with negative experiences, it could create a domino effect. His biggest challenge? Convincing the industry he's still the guy everyone loved, and not the guy they're whispering about behind the scenes. For Blake, if A Simple Favor 2 flops, it could prove that audiences aren't as invested in her as they once were. If Anna Kendrick continues to keep her distance, the narrative that Blake is just like Ryan will only grow stronger. Her biggest challenge? Proving she's not just riding on Ryan's coattails, and that she's a star in her own right. But here's the harsh reality. Hollywood doesn't do second chances easily. And with more insiders stepping forward every day, this scandal might just be getting started. Do you believe Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are really as manipulative as the rumors suggest? Is this the beginning of the end for them in Hollywood? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to check out our next video, because trust us, this story is far from over.